All right, another week, another review for the Bad Batch. This one is about episode 4 of season 1 called Cornered. And after an episode that I actually did like, called Replacements, we go back to our regular run of the mill Bad Batch kind of episode where it's, the member berries, characters written dumber than they should be, everything. We'll get into it. So this episode continues where we left off with the last one, where the Bad Batch is still flying around in the Marauder looking for a place to hide and lay low, and Omega is like, oh no, I want to go out exploring. Omega, I know that you're a teenage girl, but have you not been paying attention in the past couple of episodes about the state of the galaxy? I think it's pretty clear that it's not going to be that easy to just go and have fun everywhere as you might want to do. Like, yes, I get it that she's a teenager, but for fuck's sake, can't she be written a little bit smarter? But the Bad Batch is looking for a planet, and what planet do they decide on? Pantora. Remember Pantora? Oh, I remember. Remember Fennec Shand? Oh, I remember Fennec Shand from the Book of Boba Fett and the Mandalorian. Yeah, within the first couple of minutes, this episode does the member berries thing. And it's not that it doesn't entirely make sense, all of it. It's just, it very much feels like, oh, member. Yes, we member, writers. Just, jeez. So the Marauder lands on Pantora in the hangar bay, and there's a guy in the hangar that they need to deal with. And Wrecker and Tech go to deal with him. Now, the way they deal with him is really not smart. Now, of course, Wrecker is not the brightest light, so of course he doesn't really know how to deal with it. But Tech should know better. Tech should know that he's after some credits. And I'm also like, why do we send Tech and Wrecker to deal with people when they're probably two of the most inexperienced people to talk with other people? Maybe it's a better idea to send Hunter, who can take a fucking hint. No, we need to send these two. And like, Tech should know better, I feel. Tech should definitely be the smarter one, because he's supposed to be the smart one. His exceptional mind. I've said this before in many reviews, and I'll say it again. Characters are written dumber for the sake of the plot for some reason. So the hangar guy contacts Fennec Shand, who apparently is after Omega, because, of course, later in the season, we know that Fennec is hired by Nala Se to actually help and protect Omega, which is a bit weird, because why would Fennec try to help and protect Omega, but then is hostile towards the Bad Batch? Because she's a bounty hunter and she's mean. Yes, but there's also something about Fennec that actually makes her kind of morally good. So I'm really conflicted and confused about her character in this moment. So Hunter, Echo, and Omega go into town because they need to get some money. They have no money, they need some. And I actually like this little ploy that they come up with, like trying to sell Echo as a droid to a vendor so that they can make money off of Echo, because it's a bit weird. It's a bit out of left field, but I actually liked it. So it was a funny little moment that they did that, and they got some money off of that. And it kind of reminded me of something that you would have to do in like a video game, that at one point you have to sell one of your companions, like pass it off as a droid and then retrieve him again. It was funny to me. So while Echo is being sold, Omega sees a couple of Vorpaks. If you don't know what Vorpaks are, they're these dog-like creatures that we actually know from Star Wars Resistance, which is a show that I know no one saw, so that's why I'm showing you. That's why I'm telling you, because I actually saw the show. And as you saw in my TV shows ranked video, I actually kind of like that show for what it is. It's not the best for sure, but it's not that terrible anyway. And I think that people were very harsh to judge it by its cover and not even give it a chance. And in that show, we have a Vorpak of one of the main characters. It's a pet. So to see it in here, I thought it was actually a nice little nod. You can say that it is a member berry in some way, but I actually do feel it does make sense to have it in here because it does carry the plot forward. It doesn't really distract from anything. And I was like, oh, that's a 4-pack. That's funny. So sure, you can make the argument about the member berries. What I think is more annoying in this episode with the member berries is the entire planet of Pantora, because the planet doesn't look any different from any other planet that we've seen in recent Star Wars. It's like any other planet. The only thing is you see a couple of blue people walk around here and there. But the first person that they meet, the hangar guy, is not a Pantoran. The vendor that they sell Echo to is not a Pantoran. And there are plenty of other non-Pantorans living on this planet, apparently, or walking around. And I'm just like, Pantorans, they're blue. We know them from all the way back in Revenge of the Sith when George Lucas decided he wanted to insert himself as a Pantoran in that. And then in the Clone Wars, I actually thought, it was interesting how they went more into that. They explored the character of Chairman Papanoida, played by George Lucas in Revenge of the Sith. And that I thought was interesting because, that is exploring the species and like going into the political system as well with Ryo Chuchi, who, by the way, appears in season 2. Nice little nod. But why do we go to Pantora if all we show is a regular planet with, a couple of blue people and a whole lot of non-blue people either? It very much felt like they inserted Pantora for the sake of inserting Pantora because, remember, shut up. I'm so done with that. Like, yes, I fucking remember. It would be nice to go to another planet that is more interesting, or make Pantora more interesting. Like, show that, for example, like, very often when it comes to people, they have a skin color because of their surroundings, where they grew up. So I'm like, why are Pantorans blue if it looks like any other planet? Maybe they could have done something interesting, but they didn't. So that is what kind of just bugs me about the fact that they go to Pantora. It doesn't feel very warranted or interesting in any way. Anyway, I'll stop about the member berries for now. So, one of the Vorpaks makes sure that Omega gets into her shenanigans. She goes away from the Bad Batch, and then Fennec sees her, and she's like, I'm just going to follow you right now. And then when she finds her, she's like, okay, I can help you find your friends. Just follow me. Cool. Now, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that Fennec is in this episode because it does make sense that Nala Se would hire a bounty hunter to get after Omega. I just have the feeling that they decided to go with Fennec because, of course, at the same time they were doing The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, in which she's quite a prominent character. So they were like, okay, we have the actress here already. Let's just have her come into the recording booth and tape lines for the Bad Batch. And okay, I understand that. I'm actually quite happy for Ming-Na Wen for getting the job because she very much seemed like a genuine Star Wars fan. I was actually there at Celebration for the Return of the Jedi panel that she hosted. And when she was up there on stage, she was shining like a star. She was so happy to be there. And it very much felt like she had been a Star Wars fan for years. She was a genuine fan. And it's nice to see that, she's getting more work like this. So that's cool. It's just, I feel it's a bit convenient to have the same character here again as before. But it's not that it's entirely unwarranted. The character does, in a way, make sense. So then Hunter finds them, and they have a little standoff, Hunter and Fennec. Omega gets away, and it becomes a bigger chase because Hunter also contacts the rest of the batch to come find them. And then Wrecker, out of all people, is able to find Omega. But so does Fennec, and well, this happens. I was actually looking forward to a fight between Fennec and Wrecker. I thought it could be funny to have the big brute strength from Wrecker against the nimble, quick skills of Fennec, and maybe that could be an interesting fight. But no, it's done like that, and we have to move on with the episode. Okay, so Echo then decides to just leave the guy that bought him. He takes the droids with him because they need to repair the ship. And this actually reminded me of two things with droids involved. One is quite recently with the final arc of the Clone Wars where Ahsoka had to turn to the droids for help. And it actually also reminded me a little bit of Solo: A Star Wars Story with L3, like freeing all the droids on Kessel. Now, L3 is a bit more of an annoying character to me, but I did like the idea of that, and especially how it's executed here. I thought it was really fun, and all of a sudden I just start to realize, wait, Echo and the droids are my favorite storyline in this episode. And it's a really tiny storyline. It's kind of insignificant, it seems, but it's honestly my favorite part about this episode. Goes to show, the quality of the rest of the episode, but this I actually enjoyed. So Fennec continues to go after Omega, saves her somewhat, and of course Hunter also comes after them. Hunter finally gets the better of Fennec, and he saves Omega, of course. Echo and the droids fix the Marauder. Everyone goes back to the Marauder. They leave the planet. And, well, of course, they now know that they have a bounty hunter after Omega. That's a different thing entirely. We'll get there. And then we have a little last scene where we see that Fennec actually just pays the guy from the hangar. She doesn't kill him or anything. And it shows Fennec has a bit of a code about her. She doesn't just kill anyone who comes across her in her path and annoys her in any way. No, she has some morality, some code about her, which I do think is interesting for a character like that, because so many other bounty hunters in Star Wars we see, they just kill. And not even bounty hunters. Some people will just kill, like Cassian Andor, Han Solo, they will just shoot, they don't care. Fennec is a bit different, and that is interesting, I feel. And, well, that's the episode. Again, just not a particular big fan of this episode. Very much felt like a run-of-the-mill Bad Batch episode where everything happened the way I expected it to happen. As I said, Echo and the droids were my favorite part. So there you go. But those are my thoughts, and now I just wonder, what did you think of it? Did you like the episode a lot more, or do you agree with what I said? Let me know in the comments below. Please leave a like on the video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for more Star Wars content, follow me on social media, and of course, until my next video, may the Force be with you.